Hi, I'm Victoria Ingebrand, and this is my final reflection summary report with the observations. Um, Describing the school and the classroom as I found it. Pinellas Park Middle is a very large school. It's completely fenced in and gated. The classroom that I observed was in the back of the language building. At Orange Grove, the school has a bus entrance and parent drop-off entrance. The school is very small. The classrooms are all in portables, but they're very close to one another, not far apart as in Pinellas Park Middle. The decorations of the classroom are geared toward the Sunshine State standards. To briefly describe the setting of the neighborhood, Pinellas Park Middle is in a very industrial and poor area of town. It's a Title I school, and there's a lot of crime around the school itself, which is reflected in Pinellas Park Middle. At Orange Grove, it's a residential neighborhood. There's a lot more money. You can tell just in the building's upkeep and the way they're taken care of. And there's a lot more parent involvement from the school. What expectations are the teachers holding for student achievement and why? That was my main question when going to observe there. Pinellas Park Middle, they would definitely try to work on the English barrier because I observed that at English language learners class. Their focus was to help the students understand the cultural context and basically the vocabulary they would need for their educational careers. At Orange Grove, they were teaching more toward the FCAT, but they were also making a point to address the ways for student interaction. They would teach in the appropriate social context when working with one another. At Pinellas Park Middle, for teacher and student behaviors, the teachers and the students were non-native speakers, non-native English speakers, the ones I observed. But they were able to understand where students would have the most trouble in grasping the language. So they would explain to them through pictures and through examples. They wouldn't just give them a definition and expect them to understand the word simply from the definition. At Orange Grove Elementary, there was a large emphasis on students' classroom behavior as well as education goals. One student had trouble making eye contact with the teacher when she would reach down and talk to him. I think he was just uncomfortable making eye contact with adults. One important quote I felt that was important at Pinellas Park Middle was one student thought that another student should be able to speak English because they looked American, and he didn't understand that just because he looked like what he assumed was an American or really a United States citizen, that he couldn't speak English. At Orange Grove Elementary, the teacher stated when explaining math problems, like, oh, this is how they might trick you on the FCAT. So she was definitely teaching for the exam. You could tell that. There is just posters on the wall that would help emphasize what the goals were of the school, especially like for honesty at Orange Grove Elementary, or for certain vocabulary guidelines at Pinellas Park Middle. They each made an emphasis in addressing students' interaction with one another, and they would use the curriculum to expound on that. They wouldn't just leave the curriculum static when they taught it and the information. Like they would, at Orange Grove Elementary, one of the textbooks definitely addressed Native American history, and how it affects culture today. Pinellas Park Middle, there was a more diverse classroom, just because it was an English language learner, so you had a lot of different cultural backgrounds, and they all did not speak Spanish or Lao. There's Spanish, there's Vietnamese, there's one Japanese student. There's just, so you couldn't really teach from one language to another because the teacher had to work with many languages at once. So, and the textbooks definitely reflected the different diverse needs of the classroom and how to relate it to the cultural context of today and how to interact with one another. I really felt that the teachers really cared for the students, and they would really They made their goals clear and they helped students reach benchmarks along the way of how to interact. Like, for example, at Pinellas Park Middle, they were learning different directions and how to give directions. So this is very important in a social context for today.